Most of us believe that recycling is ethically the right thing to do, even though it is very evident that we have family members and acquaintances that do not recycle at all. In my speech today, I will talk about the negatives of recycling and why it is harder than we realize, and hopefully persuade you that recycling is not all it's cut out to be. There are 5 main reasons why people do not recycle, and per the website care2.com, people are saying they don't recycle because it's an inconvenience, which is actually, this is the number one reason why people don't recycle. They don't want to put in the extra effort of actually recycling, and who actually wants to separate the recyclables from the non-recyclables. Another reason is people are saying they don't have enough space in their home to recycle. The lack of space means no room for a recycling bin, and who actually wants to sit there and stare at a recycling bin sitting out in the open. Other people are saying if they're not getting paid to recycle, then why should they? Some countries fine people for not recycling. Some regions pay just for bottle recycling. Some areas have no penalties or incentives for recycling. And actually, if you're not getting paid, why recycle? It's not really giving you an incentive to do anything. Recycling doesn't make a difference, so why do it? Other people are asking that question to themselves because they're getting misinformed about the information about overflowing landfills and the climate change, because some people actually are being told that it has to do with not recycling. It actually doesn't make sense. There's actually no problem, which is essentially the case. Just because we recycle doesn't mean it's going to help the environment. It is just hard to do so and actually recycle, since there are so many facets to recycling, like such as bottles, plastics, papers. It's hard to decipher what gets recycled and what doesn't, so who wants to learn all that? Not only is it easier to not recycle, but there are also cons to recycling. For Project Greenify, there are a few cons to recycling, and some of them are it may take more energy to actually recycle any given product than it did to make it originally. Recycling is hard work for the consumer. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking that recycling is easy. Again, who wants to sit there and separate recyclables versus non-recyclables and learning those numbers on the bottom of your cans and bottles to know if that's actually recyclable or not? Just like some plastic bottles and materials like wrappers, for example, cannot be recycled, and people don't actually want to clean off the bottles before throwing them to the recycling bin. Who has enough time in their daily life to do that? Most people don't know that there are a lot of electronics that cannot be recycled because of the heavy metals used in certain manufacturing of those electronic parts. And also it costs a substantial amount of energy and time to recycle paper products properly. It costs a lot of water, it costs money to heat the water, to remove labels from certain cans. There's just a lot of outside forces going against recycling. So then we have to ask ourselves, is recycling really worth it? Based on a controversial article written by John Tierney for the New York Times Magazine, he basically states that mandatory recycling programs aren't good for prosperity. They offer mainly short-term benefits to a few groups while diverting money from genuine social and environmental problems. Recycling, he says, actually recycling may be the most wasteful activity in modern America. A waste of money, a waste of time, and a waste of human and national resources. Basically, are we running out of landfill spaces? No. Are we doubling energy consumption and pollution? No. But the situation could improve if we recycled, but that doesn't mean it necessarily will. Do most recycling programs lose money? Of course. The question you have to ask, is it more expensive to recycle and collect garbage on a normal garbage day? It costs, yes, of course, it costs more gas money, costs more time to do this. It's just harder to recycle when you can just easily throw away all these items. In saying all that, the fact that something can be recycled doesn't mean it should be, and the question still remains, is recycling really worth it? Per StuffYouDon'tKnow.com, much of the plastic recycling that people do ends up in oceans anyways. Plastic is responsible for polluting many of the nicest beaches in our country and in the world. A lot of Hawaii's beaches get 15 to 20 tons of trash a year washed in from the ocean. And of course, the most direct victims are the sea life, the fishes, the birds, anybody that's trying to eat these items that are floating in the ocean. And of course, do you want to be swimming in an ocean where there's recyclables washing up all around you. Also, another risk of recycling is how there are many studies from the Center for Disease Control that show that there are actual health risks from recycling, because once you take another plastic bottle off the shelf, you don't know what diseases are in that plastic bottle and what could be harmful to you because it was once recycled from something else. In a lot of ways, I personally wish that there were no recycling programs available, because it is a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of our energies actually trying to figure out what recyclables we need to throw away versus what we shouldn't throw away. It is having to learn something new all over again, and that thought process of actually going to have to recycle something gets tougher and tougher because there's new rules that come out or new numbers that come out on the bottom of our bottles. So is cycling really worth it in the end? We don't really know the answer, but right now I feel as if it is not the best way to go about getting rid of garbage. Just throw all of the garbage away together.